The Silent Century. For 100 years, Earth had been the galaxy's best-kept joke. The small blue planet, third from its unremarkable star, had once knocked on the doors of the great civilizations, asking for a seat at the table. The Galactic Federation, a union of over 300 advanced species, had politely declined. Too primitive, they said, too violent, too unpredictable. And so Earth fell silent. The great powers of the galaxy, the crystalline Zephyrians with their thought ships, the multi-dimensional Vorthan Empire, and the ancient Kelthani Collective, barely noticed when Earth's broadcasts stopped, when their primitive satellites went dark, when their clumsy attempts at faster-than-light communication ceased entirely. Good riddance, most said. The humans had finally accepted their place in the cosmic order. Nowhere. But silence, as the galaxy would soon learn, can mean many things. Commander Vextar of the Zephyrian Defense Fleet was the first to notice something was wrong. His patrol route took him along the edge of the Orion Arm, far from the glittering core worlds where civilization flourished. It was considered a punishment posting. Nothing happened out here except the occasional pirate raid or smuggler convoy. That changed when his sensors picked up the signal. "Sir," his communications officer chittered nervously, her crystalline form flickering with uncertainty. "We're receiving an unknown transmission. It's old, very old." Vextar leaned forward in his command throne. "Origin." "The dead zone, sir. Sector 4721. Near the Sol system." The Sol system. Earth's home. Vextar felt a strange chill run through his crystal matrix. Earth had been silent for a century. What could they possibly be transmitting now? "Put it through the universal translator," he ordered. The signal was unlike anything in the Federation's vast database. It pulsed with a strange rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. When the translator finally locked onto it, the message was simple, a series of numbers, repeating endlessly. "Coordinates." "Sir," the communications officer's voice trembled. "These coordinates, they're not in any of our star charts. They point to empty space, deep space, beyond the galactic rim." Vextar's crystal form darkened with concern. "Send a priority message to Federation Command. Something's happening." Within days, the highest echelons of the Galactic Federation convened an emergency session on Prima Station, the massive structure that served as the government's heart. Representatives from the major powers gathered in the crystalline chamber, their forms shimmering with agitation. "Earth has been silent for a century," declared Ambassador Thrix of the Vorthan Empire, her multiple eyes scanning the assembly. "Why should we care about some random signal now?" High Chancellor Kelthani, oldest and wisest of the gathered beings, raised a tendril for silence. "Because 12 of our scout ships have gone missing in the past week. All of them were investigating the signal source." The chamber erupted in concerned chatter. Scout ships didn't just disappear. They were equipped with the latest technology, capable of outrunning anything in known space. "Show them," Kelthani commanded. A hologram materialized in the center of the chamber. It showed the last transmission from scout ship Eternal Vigil, one of the Zephyrian's finest vessels. The image was grainy, distorted by some kind of interference, but what it showed made every being in the chamber freeze in shock. A shape emerged from the darkness of space. Massive, angular, unlike anything in the Federation's databases. It was clearly artificial, clearly a ship of some kind. But its design was alien even to these aliens. Harsh lines and brutal efficiency, like it had been carved from space itself by angry gods. And on its hull, barely visible in the static, were symbols that one of the human specialists reluctantly translated. "UES Retribution. United Earth Ship." "Impossible," breathed Ambassador Thrix. "Earth doesn't have the technology for interstellar travel, let alone whatever that is." "Apparently," Kelthani said slowly, "we were wrong." The panic started small. Border colonies reported strange sensor ghosts. Supply convoys found their navigation systems mysteriously scrambled. Deep space monitoring stations picked up energy signatures that shouldn't exist, massive power sources moving through the void at impossible speeds. Then came the disappearances, not just scout ships now, but entire patrol fleets. They would enter certain sectors of space and simply vanish. No distress signals, no debris, just gone. The Federation tried to contain the news, but fear spreads faster than light in a galaxy connected by quantum communication. Stories began to circulate. Earth hadn't been silent because they'd given up. They'd been silent because they were building, preparing, planning. Trade routes shifted away from the outer rim. Mercenary companies raised their prices tenfold for any job near human space. The smaller species, especially those who had once mocked Earth's fumbling attempts at spaceflight, began fortifying their borders. In the depths of the Kelthani archives, scholars found disturbing patterns. Earth's history was soaked in blood. Yes, but it was also marked by impossible comebacks. Every time they'd been counted out, dismissed, conquered, or oppressed, they'd return stronger, more determined, more dangerous. "We made a mistake," one Kelthani scholar whispered to another as they reviewed humanity's violent past. "We didn't exclude them because they were weak. We should have included them to keep them contained." Commander Vextar, now leading the Federation's hastily assembled investigation fleet, pushed deeper into the signal source. His crystalline matrix hummed with tension as they approached the coordinates. Space here felt different, older, darker. "Sir," his sensor operator reported, "I'm detecting artificial structures. Massive ones. Sir, they're everywhere, hidden in asteroid fields, disguised as moons, built into the very fabric of space itself." Vextar's form flickered with disbelief. "How long would it take to build something like this?" "Decades, sir. Maybe longer." The realization hit him like a supernova. Earth hadn't gone silent because they'd given up. They'd gone silent because they were working. While the galaxy had laughed at their primitive rockets and clumsy space stations, humanity had been building something else entirely. Something hidden. Something waiting. "Sir," the communications officer's cry cut through his thoughts. Multiple contacts emerging from subspace. There, by the void. They're huge. Space itself seemed to tear open as ships emerged from whatever dimension they'd been hiding in. Not just one or two, but dozens. Each one was different. Some long and sleek like predators, others blocky and brutal like fortresses. But all bore the same marking. The blue and green sphere of Earth, surrounded by stars. And at their head, larger than any ship the Federation had ever conceived, was the vessel from the recording. The UES Retribution. A message broadcast across all frequencies, in every language known to the Federation. The voice was human, but carried a weight that made space itself seem to listen. "This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Fleet. For 100 years, you ignored us, dismissed us, mocked us. We spent that century preparing, learning, building. We are no longer asking for a seat at your table. We're taking it." Vextar's fleet, the pride of the Zephyrian Navy, suddenly looked very small indeed. The Federation had ruled the galaxy for millennia. They had never faced a true challenge to their authority. As Vextar stared at the massive human fleet, at weapons and technology that shouldn't exist, he realized the truth. Earth hadn't struck first out of weakness or fear. They'd struck first because they could. Because while the galaxy had been complacent, humanity had been evolving. And now, the silent century was over. The last thing Vextar transmitted before his fleet was overwhelmed was a single message to Federation Command. "We underestimated them. We underestimated them all." In the depths of space, the human fleet moved forward like an unstoppable tide. The galaxy had mocked Earth once. They would not make that mistake again. When Earth awakens, the fall of Commander Vextar's fleet sent shockwaves through the Galactic Federation. For the first time in recorded history, a Federation battle group had been completely overwhelmed. Not destroyed. That would have been understandable. They had simply vanished, their last transmission showing massive human ships surrounding them before everything went dark. High Chancellor Keltheni called for calm, but panic was already spreading through the core worlds. The mighty Vorthan Empire pulled its fleets back to defensive positions. The Zephyrians began emergency protocols not activated since the ancient wars. Smaller species started offering tribute to Earth, hoping to avoid whatever was coming. But humanity remained silent except for one repeated message. We are coming to talk. Do not approach our fleet. Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the UES Retribution, watching the stars wheel slowly past. Her hair was gray now, after 30 years of service to the Hidden Fleet. She remembered the day Earth's leaders had made the decision. The day they realized the galaxy would never accept them as equals. So they had chosen a different path. Admiral, her first officer, Commander James Rodriguez, approached with a datapad. We've reached the designated coordinates. The Federation is asking for terms. Chen smiled coldly. They're not in a position to ask for anything, but we'll humor them. Signal the Phoenix. It's time for our demonstration. Deep in the human fleet, a ship unlike any other powered up its engines. The UES Phoenix was humanity's masterpiece, not their largest ship, nor their most heavily armed. It was something far more terrifying. Proof of what humans could achieve when pushed to their limits. The Federation had assembled its greatest fleet at the borders of their space. Thousands of ships from hundreds of species, all waiting to see what Earth would do. They expected demands, threats, maybe even an attack. They didn't expect Earth to invite them to a demonstration. This is Admiral Chen to all Federation forces. We're about to show you something. Watch carefully. You'll want to remember this moment. The Phoenix moved forward alone, toward a dead star system the Federation had marked as worthless, a few barren planets around a dim red dwarf. As the assembled alien fleets watched, the human ship took position near the largest planet, a frozen rock twice the size of Jupiter. Then it fired a single beam of energy. The planet changed, not destroyed, not shattered, changed. The Federation scientists watching couldn't believe their sensors. The very atomic structure of the world was being rewritten, transformed from dead rock into something else. Within minutes, the frozen wasteland had become a green and blue jewel, complete with oceans, atmosphere, and continents. The Phoenix had terraformed an entire world in less time than it took most species to launch a shuttle. Impossible, whispered the Vorthan commander. The energy requirements alone. Admiral Chen's voice cut through their shock. This is what Earth has been doing for the past 100 years. We didn't just build ships. We mastered the fundamental forces of the universe. We can create worlds, or destroy them. Your choice. The Federation's War Council met in emergency session. Fear permeated every word. They could eliminate us, the Zephyrian representative said, his crystalline form dim with terror. Turn our worlds into dust, or worse, transform them into something else entirely. Why haven't they? Asked Ambassador Thrix. If they have such power, why negotiate at all? High Chancellor Kelthani had been reviewing Earth's historical files. Because that's not who they are. Look at their history. They fight when they must, but they prefer to build, to create. They're offering us a choice. The negotiations took place on neutral ground, a space station hastily constructed at the border between Federation and human space. Admiral Chen led the Earth delegation, facing the greatest leaders of known space. You feared us. Chen began, her voice calm but firm. You rejected us because we were violent, unpredictable. So we left you alone. We turned inward. We conquered our own demons, unified our world, and pushed the boundaries of science beyond anything you deemed possible. She gestured to the holographic displays showing human achievements, cities in space that dwarfed anything the Federation had built, technology that bent the laws of physics, medical advances that had eliminated death itself for those who chose it. We don't want to rule you, Chen continued. We want to join you. but as equals, full members of the Federation, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. In return, we'll share our knowledge, help you grow. Together, we can make the galaxy a better place. And if we refuse? Asked the Vorthan ambassador. Chen's expression didn't change. Then we'll go our own way. Build our own alliance with species you've overlooked and dismissed. And in another 100 years, when we've outgrown you completely, you'll wish you'd made a different choice today. The Federation's decision came faster than anyone expected. Faced with humanity's power and potential, they had only one real option. Earth would join the Galactic Federation as a full member, the first species to earn that status in over 1,000 years. But the real surprise came the weeks that followed. Hidden human colonies revealed themselves throughout the galaxy, worlds the Federation had written off as uninhabitable, now thriving with billions of humans. Trade stations appeared in systems previously thought empty. Scientific outposts emerged from dimensional pockets. Humanity hadn't just been building a fleet. They'd been building a civilization, spread across the stars in places no one had thought to look. The smaller species who had once mocked Earth now lined up to establish trade agreements. Pirates and raiders found themselves facing human patrol ships that seemed to appear from nowhere. Ancient mysteries that had puzzled the galaxy for eons were suddenly being solved by human scientists who approached problems from angles no one had considered. At the heart of it all, the UES Retribution was retired from active service and turned into a monument, a reminder of the day Earth announced its presence to the galaxy. But its sister ships continued to patrol, continued to explore, continued to push the boundaries of the possible. 6 months after first contact, Admiral Chen stood before the Galactic Senate to give her first official address as Earth's representative. The chamber was full. No one wanted to miss what the human leader would say. For 100 years, you thought we were silent because we were weak, she began. But we were listening, learning, growing. We heard your dismissal, your mockery, your fear, and we used it as fuel. She paused, looking around the chamber at the assembled aliens. You were right to fear us, but not for the reasons you thought. We're not conquerors. We're builders. We're dreamers, and we're just getting started. She smiled then, and for the first time, it reached her eyes. The galaxy mocked Earth once. Thank you for that. It gave us the motivation we needed to become something greater. Now let's see what we can achieve together. As the human fleet dispersed throughout the galaxy, bringing technology and knowledge to worlds that had stagnated for millennia, the other species learned an important lesson. Never underestimate humanity. Never mock their ambitions. And never, ever, give them a reason to prove you wrong. Because when Earth strikes first, it's not out of anger or fear. It's because they've already won the war you didn't even know you were fighting. The silent century was over. The human century had begun. And the galaxy would never be the same again.